Hello, everyone. Thanks again for joining us for our quarantine chats. For those of you who are, this is their first time joining, we're doing these every Tuesday and Thursday for the benefit of the business community, so that we can all come together, chat about some things. Each time we'll present a little bit of content about a topic, and then hopefully we'll have some discussion that comes through as we go. Feel free to use the question and answer functionality in Zoom, which you can access if you mouse up to the top of your screen and press the Q&A button, or you can use the chat function as well. That's also another way to ask questions. So without further ado, let's get going. The agenda today is to review updates that have come out as a result of the, Justin Trudeau's latest announcements, any other updates that we have from those previously announced programs. We've got some top tips for ... a few things, and some thinking and content around access to funding. So let's go through those. Speakers are myself, Iain Rogers. I'm the founder of Entreflow. I'm a two-time founder myself. I have an MBA and I have two kids. So I'll leave it there. My focus has been on business strategy, sales, and marketing kind of things. And I'll let Helina introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Helina Patience. I'm the CEO for Entreflow. I'm a CPA, CMA, so an accountant with an HR background. I've been with Entreflow for about 4 years, and yeah, delighted to be here to share some thoughts on what's happening in our current landscape. And we're also going to do a great Q&A session at the end of the session. So, but feel free to ask questions along the way. Colin, I believe, will be joining us at some point, so we'll let him do an intro when he joins us. But yes, let's carry on.
Okay, so briefly about us, for context, we're a boutique consulting firm. We help small, medium-sized businesses who are up to big things and have big goals, and we help to help them achieve those goals. Our areas of practice are accounting and finance being one, HR being the second one, and the third one being marketing. So within accounting and finance, there's a number of things, and we get involved in a lot of this funding and cash planning kind of stuff. So we're happy to share about that. Here's the news. Do you want to take us through this?
Sure, I'll take you through the lovely news. I'm sure most of you know most of this by now, but just a recap of kind of where we're at from a business perspective on the announcements that have come out in the last little while. So our corporate filing for corporate taxes and self-employed have been deferred. The filing's due June 1st and the payments are due September 1st. So make sure you still get your filing done by June 1st. The payments aren't due till September 1st. To get a little bit of a break there. On the PST was announced last week. The PST filings and payments are extended to September 30th. Might not hurt to still do your filings as well, so you can keep track of what's still outstanding. And the employer tax, health tax is on hold for the time being, so no new payments are required right now. GST was announced recently too. The payments are extended until June 30th. You do need to keep filing. So like I said, still keep filing. I think it's probably a good idea. Definitely required for GST and probably a good idea for PST. For those of you who are on monthly remitters for GST, this deferral for the payments includes Feb, March, and April. So if you haven't done your payment for Feb and March yet, then that is you can hold off on that if you like. And then for the quarterly remitters, it's the period of Jan 1st to March 31st. You get a little bit of a break there. So your April 30th payment won't be due for until June 30th. As well, there's the 75% wage subsidies for business. So this is for non-profits, registered charities, or CCPCs, so Canadian-controlled private corporations. You must have at least a 30% decrease in your business, and it's capped at $58,700 per person. We really don't know how they're going to roll this out. There's still a lot of confusion about how this is going to be managed. So I'm hoping they did say that we're going to get more updates within 24 hours. Didn't get much of an update this morning. So I'm hoping we're going to get some information there. And then once we get that, I'm sure the payroll applications are going to have to frantically get some development done to work out this new change, because they'd already gone and done the 10% wage subsidy already. So we'll see how that goes. Not much more to report there.
So that was the one that was announced just on Friday. And they said that they would have some details of this program at the end of the month when we checked in with more details. So that should be today. So hopefully we'll have some more info on this next time around. I know a lot of people are wondering about this one in a lot of detail.
Okay. I think something came in the chat here as well.
For the wage subsidy, no sole prop with payroll. Yeah, unfortunately at this time, it seems to be that this is targeted towards corporations.
I feel like I've seen some stuff on some forums though, where they are saying that sole props will be eligible and partnerships. We just haven't seen any details about that. So hold tight there. I have a feeling that they will be eligible.
Yeah, certainly the question has been raised.
It's not clear.
Yeah, the question has been raised by the sole prop owners saying, hey, what gives? We thought that we were going to get some help here too. And I think they probably just didn't think of that, or maybe they'll announce those details. Thanks for the question.
Cool. And then as well for business owners, so self-employed individuals, you'll be eligible for the CERB that's come out. We'll find out more information on the application details on April 6th, and it's basically $2,000 per month. It is also, those who are not typically eligible for EI as well will be eligible for this. So it's basically a blanket program to help out people who wouldn't be eligible for EI. So those who might be sick, taking care of family members, taking care of children. But for business owners, this is one benefit. How this is going to play out, again, we don't really know. If you are taking dividends, they might be offset by this this emergency response benefit. So again, we'll just have to kind of wait and see what more information we get. They also announced a $40,000 bank loan through the Canadian Emergency Business Account, the CEBA. Now you have to, in order to be eligible, you have to have at least $50K in payroll in 2019. And as well, there is a 10% givable portion. So you only need to pay back 30,000 of the 40,000 if you pay it back within by 2020. Now their website right now says 2022. I hadn't heard that announced, but I don't know if it's a typo or not. But let's just say 2020 for now, and if we get an extra 2 years. And then William said CERB required no other income. I haven't seen anything yet. Not yet, but we'll see what comes down the pipeline there. And then additionally, we mentioned this last week too, but the BDC and the EDC are making it easier to get access to business credit right now. I think they both on their website say reach out to your financial institution. We're also hearing through the EDC that you can reach out directly to the EDC if you have not applied before in the past. And some of the BDC branches are actually just taking applications directly because the financial institutions are kind of slowing the process down. And I believe Colin has just joined us. So Colin, welcome to the call. Did you want to do a quick intro? We've got you listed as a speaker for. Just need to unmute you here. There we go.
Here we go. Well, sorry for jumping in late here. I was on another call and doing a podcast.
I can hear you there. That's it.
No. You hear me now? I'm not muted.
Is anybody else able to hear Colin?
Can you hear me? Yes, no, maybe. Let me.
Okay, maybe it's just our sound. Unfortunately,
all right.
It's
Can you hear me now?
really.
Okay.
How's that?
Well, Colin, everyone can hear you, but we can't. So we'll work through that.
All right.
Maybe as Helina talks, I can try and work on the tech.
Okay, you can do
for our end.
Thanks for coming on today, Colin.
Probably totally cutting off. Can you guys hear us? Okay, maybe we should have checked that.
No, we can hear you just fine. We can definitely hear you.
Okay.
Awesome. So Iain will work on our sound.
So it's probably just my computer. All right, let's keep going here.
There we go.
Where did we get to? Oh, BDC and EDC.
Yeah.
So we covered that off, and we've provided links to that in the past, and we can update those on when we publish this webinar as well.
Okay.
Okay. There's a lot of information out there. Some people have done a really great job of pulling it all together. So here are some links. So Valerie is the owner of AVA. They're a small innovative product startup here in Vancouver, and she's got a great startup survival guide. There's a couple of other links here as well, and I forgot to add the one from Small Business BC.
Okay.
They had a good resource guide as well.
Okay, so we'll update the slide and add it to when we'll add these to our website at the end of today. So you'll be able to access the links easily, and we'll add the one from the Small Business BC there too.
Perfect.
Okay, top tips for financial survival.
So the thought that I want everyone to take on is that it is dangerous to think that, oh, let's get through this quarantine and then things will get back to normal. I think that is going to be a recipe for disaster. This is the new normal. So what you need to be thinking of right now is not riding out the storm here, but more thinking about getting more sales, getting money out of operations, maybe cutting expenses or getting more efficient, and thinking about borrowing or raising money to fuel growth through this. There's
I can share these if you want to try to figure out our mic situation.
Sure. Yeah. There's another slide in there that seems to have gone missing. All right, go ahead.
It might be after this. Okay, so top tips. Apply for finance or financial support early. So don't wait until you're in a pickle before looking for money. It says that the old rule holds true, that the banks are happy to give you money when you don't need it and not so happy to give it to you when you do. So just make sure that you're applying for that funding as soon as possible if you think you might need it. Make decisions earlier than you need to. You can just plug that in and see if it'll work in. Keep in communication with your teams along the way as well. Keep up to date with the announcements. There's a lot of new information coming down the pipeline. A lot of it's quite confusing at this point too. So just keep up to date with it as much as you can, and reach out to your communities if you have any questions. Manage your cash carefully. So now's a good time to just go back and review where you're spending your money, and make sure you're being careful with that. Keep your forecasts up to date, because if you are applying for funding, you're going to need to show those forecasts, and so you want to make sure that they're up to date as possible. And also, don't panic. It's going to be okay. We're all in this together. It's a bit scary for a lot of people right now, but at the end of the day, we're all gonna make it through. And keeping as unstressed will help you along the way.
Oh, this is the one I was expecting. Okay. So the most dreaded words in the English language are negative cash flow. I think a lot of us are facing this in our small businesses at the moment. But here's the analogy, right? So, doom and gloom. Okay, Titanic sinking. But look, there's you'll notice in the picture, there's a couple of people that are still on the Titanic, and they're, I don't know, holding on to the ropes. I don't know what they're thinking. Maybe the ship's going to right itself, but don't want to let go of the luxurious ocean liner that they were on. And then there's a group of people who who are already in the lifeboats. These people, I don't know, maybe the ship's going to right itself and come back to good. But certainly these people in the lifeboats who are already rowing are definitely going to be okay. So that's my little analogy for you guys. So start pulling in a new direction.
And don't panic.
Yeah, and don't panic.
Okay, great. One more point about the cash flow. Last week we talked a bit about how to solve short-term and long-term cash issues. So if that's content that might be valuable for you at this point, just go back to our website, to the presentation we did last Tuesday, and we've got some slides on there, some tips to cover cash timing and cash issues. And as well, we wanted to touch a little bit on sales. because sales fixes everything. It's Ian's favorite sentence. So a couple things to think about to help grow your sales during this time. Okay, can you just mute that? Yeah. Okay.
All right. The thing is that there are businesses who are going to do well out of this this quarantine, or sorry, this quarantine and subsequent recession. So the point for your businesses is to think about how to pivot. So here's some examples here on the right-hand side. What's going to do well? Productivity software is going to do well. Everyone's talking about how Zoom must be making a killing during these times. Cannabis retail, we've heard, is doing pretty well. Obviously, anyone who's selling toilet paper and hand sanitizer has made a few dollars. Companies, people who are supplying healthcare workers with gloves, masks, gowns, etc., they will have plenty of revenue in this time. On the left-hand side, I've listed some examples for pivots that we're already seeing start to happen. So those who have had to close their retail storefronts, maybe they're a clothing store or something, will be investing in e-commerce efforts. People who are doing food and beverage are getting more into delivering food. So the grocery delivery companies are experiencing a big uptick. People who run events, switching to virtual webinars, virtual meetups, even full-blown virtual conferences are trying to be pushed through. Consulting companies like ourselves are moving everything into the cloud. We're particularly well set up for this because we were already 100% cloud, 100% paperless, but we're seeing some of our peers moving in that direction as well. Enterprise software, or basically any business that has a particularly long sales cycle. This came up on a previous call. They're looking for smaller packages that they can sell. And I guess that's another point, is that a pivot doesn't necessarily need to be selling something different. It could just be selling something in a different way, a different package. So something to think about there. Be instead of a bigger engagement, go for smaller. It could be, payment by credit card is helpful in this time versus insisting on cash up front or on delivery or something like that. So these kinds of things might help.
Yeah.
And Colin, feel free to jump in. You can just unmute yourself.
Here.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Hey, technology wins the day. So yeah, what I just posted there, it is that balance. I just had this conversation earlier during these COVID times of, yes, pivoting without opportunistically profiteering or gouging is the key. And that's a delicate balance, and there's no playbook for that. And we see some out there, you use the hand sanitizer example, whereas you got microbreweries out there now pivoting and creating hand sanitizer. A lot of those are giving them away for free, which is not unlike the great work that you're doing here with Entreflow, is the fact you're providing thought leadership and relevance and giving back right now, that ultimately when things, not that they get back to normal, because I agree with you, they never will. They will be different. We don't even know what that different it will be right now as it works its way through over the next weeks, months, and years. But they're already established themselves as connecting to the community and giving back and being part of something bigger than themselves. And the work that you guys are doing here is awesome. I know it's great because you're, as entrepreneurs, just figuring it out as you go, and that's amazing. But that's one of the key things, is how do you then pivot or harness new opportunity without coming across as being opportunistic during these difficult times.
Yeah, and I think as I reflect on that, the key here is twofold. So one, you may be doing something different or offering a new kind of thing that is very much needed right now, but just make sure that you're not charging more than you normally would for this kind of service. And if you can afford it, offer some kind of discount or support to businesses that are struggling, or customers that are struggling, and or find some other way to give back to the community. And I think that's going to be seen well by everybody, and you're communicating that you have the right kinds of intentions out there.
And just to touch, Stacy had asked a question about the $40,000 loans that are available, and whether they need to be paid back in the same year. I think they're going to offer that incentive where you get 10 grand of it forgiven if you pay back within the same year, and otherwise it'll flip over to a low interest loan after that point. But again, we don't have the full details there yet, but I think that's what we've heard so far.
Cool.
Okay.
These are my 5 strategies for business owners. I think we can talk about them more in maybe a subsequent call, but for 5 strategies for effective selling in cash crunch times. So 1 is join the sales team. If you're not already directly selling, do that. 2, the easiest place to get more revenue is with existing customers. They already trust you. 3 is come up with a new offering, a little bit about the pivot that we already talked about. 4 is hire a rainmaker, somebody who's got lots of connections and contacts in the market that you want to sell to. That's a great way to move things fast. And then offering discounts. A last resort, or if you're going to offer a COVID discount, great, but just make sure that this is not something that will put you into the red long term. You want to make sure that this is a healthy option, and everyone knows that this is a temporary thing that you're doing.
It's good with those to say, okay, we're going to offer a discount for the month of April, or until May 30th or something like that, so that there's an end date, and then you can go back to that communication so that there's no confusion about what the timing will be.
Okay, here's access to funding, which is the main thing that we want to talk about. And everyone's sort of wondering, what should I do? Okay, everyone's sort of wondering, what should I do? So we're getting a lot of announcements, we're getting a lot of programs being talked about funds that are becoming available, and not enough details yet on some of them. So the question is, what should I do, or what can I do now? So these are the answers. Prepare your strategy, prepare your cash plan, and prepare a loan package, or a program application package, or basically the documents and everything that you're going to put up to the people who are going to front you some money, or allow you to participate in the program. So you can do this work now. Okay, so here's the details on what you're going to need to prepare a loan application, so you can start getting this stuff ready right now. Banks and the BDC included will probably require 3 years of accountant prepared financial statements. So this is your year-end notice to reader, NTR financial statements. For small businesses, that's what they typically want. They don't typically need a review or an audit, but basically prepared by accountants so that they know that somebody else has had a look at those things. If you haven't been in business for 3 years, no problem. They'll take the latest 1 or 2 years that you have. Most people won't have closed 2019 and gotten everything closed up and financial statements prepared. So it sort of depends on when your year end was. If your calendar year, or if it was September last year that you were supposed to have closed things up, then they'll take a look at that. I think there's some leniency here in timing of getting these financial statements prepared, because we're only in March, and March is typically when your accounting firm will have prepared your financial statements so that you can file your taxes and all that kind of stuff. So if you need these, reach out to Entreflow. We're a CPA firm. We can do this. Reach out to your current tax accountant if they can help you out, get them ready. It's a good time to reach out to your accountant so that you can start this process of getting it ready. Regardless, even if you don't have to have the formal NTR statements ready, you are going to need to provide the bank or the lending body or the government program with financial statements called management financials, or a financial summary, which is just downloaded from your accounting software. QuickBooks or Xero, for instance, you can download the income statement, or profit and loss statement, but you need to make sure that that's accurate. And so if you haven't spent time with your accountant or bookkeeper, now's a really good time to get in touch with them and make sure that everything is up to date, because you're to pull those statements and understand what's happening with them. Secondly, you're going to need to prepare some forecasts. So that's the next point, right? Is the strategy. So it's not, here's some money, good luck. The banks still banks after all, and I'll include the BDC in that. They're going to want to see that you have been making money. So generally speaking, they're going to want to lend to businesses that have been profitable in the past, and maybe not right now because of COVID, but previously were. So being able to prove that is a good thing. Certainly being able to look forward and say, here's how I'm going to make money. Here's how I'm going to be able to repay this loan is an important part of the application. If you're there with a good plan and your application is going to get to the top of the pile, and you have to know that these funding bodies, banks, etc., are inundated with these kind of requests. So you want to be at the top of the pile if you do indeed need this loan. So you've got to describe how you're going to pivot, what your strategy is, and also specifically what those funds are going to be used for. So is it going to be for marketing? Is it going to be for hiring people or just retaining staff? Is it a short-term cash loan that you're going to repay within the year? What is it that you're going to go for, and how are you going to pay it back?
Let's just ask a question there.
Okay, how about startups who had no 3-year track record and no revenue? Yeah, that's a tricky one. If you're pre-revenue and no profits, then that doesn't exclude you from these programs. It just makes the kinds of institutions that are going to lend to you a shorter list, and that's okay. It's always a good idea to filter down your list to the right kind of lenders for you. You wouldn't want to apply for a loan from a early lender if you're a more established business anyway. We've got a few listed out for ideas for who are good to talk to in the next slide or two. But it's going to be from people who are used to working with early stage companies. BDC certainly is, and so they're good people to talk to around this time. Okay, do you want to take this one?
So I included in here some, because we like to talk about apps. We get really appy around here at Entreflow. And punny apparently. So thought it to share some forecasting tools that can help you to do this work more effectively. As some people find this a little bit more challenging than others. So for your 3-way forecasting, which is where you're looking at forecasting your P&L, your profit and loss, your balance sheet, and your cash forecasting. These 2 applications are awesome for doing that very effectively. They connect up with your accounting software as well, so it makes it a lot easier to play around and play those and run those scenarios. We use Giraffe at Entreflow. It's been a really great tool for our clients. And then our weekly cash flow forecasting is something that you might want to look to do depending on where you're at with your business and your cash right now. So if you're in a situation where you need to kind of see what's coming in and out on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, then these 3 applications are really great for that focus. So Helm, Dry Run, and Cash Frog. And we've used all 3 of these at Entreflow as well. And like I said, all of these integrate with QuickBooks and Xero. So they're pulling in your actuals and update automatically. It's a lot more time efficient than using Excel, and it's a lot easier to if you're not an expert in forecasting already, save you a lot of time, and they're quite inexpensive applications for the value that you get out of them. Okay, so Iain's going to talk a little bit about some options for loans and some financing as well.
Sure.
And then we're going to get on to some Q&A.
Yeah, okay, so I put all the details up there. I don't think I need to read all that out there. The point is, as I mentioned, to there are a lot of options out there, and that's the first thing to know. And it's important to approach the right people. It's going to be difficult to get the attention of people at BDC, for instance, because they're so busy and also adapting to working virtually. So it's important for you to do your homework and understand the programs and offers that they have. I've listed 3 of them here. So one of our clients who's well, not quite a client yet, but gonna start working with us soon, is involved in procuring lots of equipment, and so they need to use the BDC for purchase order financing. Other clients are able to get up to $100,000 just applying online, so that can be a good option if you need just a little bit of money. They have, and then they have larger programs for firms who are looking to raise capital and grow. The EDC is really great for companies that are working internationally, and they'll guarantee loans, which is nice. Because that helps things get approved. You still need to work with the primary lender, I believe, but you can get support from EDC. And the last one is that this is the 40K loan, the CEBA that we talked about. That one we've spoken with some commercial banks, and what they're saying to us is, thanks for inquiring, but the feds haven't released all the details about how we, the commercial banks, are supposed to roll out this program. So come back to us next week and we'll have maybe some more details. So keep it on your radar, maybe factor it into your planning process. But a lot of these things is going to be waiting until the next few days or next week before they have final details.
For sure. And Stacey, I saw your follow-on question there about with the CEBA, if you do have that 10K forgiveness portion exercised, will it become a taxable income? I'm not quite sure what they're going to do at this point with that. So we'll have to just wait for some more details on how they're expecting businesses to manage the forgivable portion.
I would hope not. Here's a loan to help you out in a time of crisis.
Tax on it.
Please pay us taxes because you paid it back quickly. Okay, so here's some more private lending things that you can look at. Again, there's lots of details on this slide, and there are a lot more. We posted a resource from a company called Hockey Stick that has a good, solid listing of lots of different options. So I recommend you go there. These are just some highlights. Futurepreneur, we know well. They're going to be a great program. This is a crowdsourced equity funding, and looks like they do collateral-free loans too. I need to refresh my thinking on this, but I think we might have somebody from Futurepreneur on the line at some point. So they're really good. They do little loans, but you can also tap into the BDC for that to top it up. So basically, if you qualify with them, then typically you'll qualify with the BDC as well. Other programs, ClearBank is a really well-known one. We mentioned this last time. That's great if you've got online sales. Lending Loop and Lendified are great for early stage companies that have growth plans, and they'll typically lend a small amount of money, $50,000 to $150,000, or even smaller amounts, and then that's a great place to start, and then start building up credit from there. And then there are bigger programs like Timia is great when you've had some traction. You really need to grow it fast. Then there's other ones that are more so for companies that are doing shred type development or other government programs. There may be pre-revenue or maybe not, but they're looking for participation in those programs, and then they'll fund those things through. So those are some of those options there. Any questions on any of these? I guess before I ramble on much about these guys. No questions from the line. Okay, maybe
ask them if they come up.
Ask them to come up, and we're going to leave some time at the end for you. So if you don't have a question now, just start thinking of them later. So equity is the other route that you can go. Of course, finding investors is tricky at any time. At these times, it's going to be even harder, and that's okay. Some people may be already in conversations with investors. Some of these funds may have funds sitting on the sidelines and that haven't been invested yet, and are actually looking for really good opportunities. So they're going to be looking for a deal, if you know what I mean. But if it's your only option, then it may be a good one. Or you may find a good partner that's going to help you through this. And find the really great thing with a lot of these are investors is that they're going to try and connect you with other people, try and get the network effects going beyond just writing a check, but actually supporting in a really great way. So always a good conversation to have. I'm highlighting a few here. So Front Funder is a great one to think about. They do, sorry, I mixed this up with it. I meant Futurepreneur. I was saying Front Funder stuff, but I meant Futurepreneur on the last slide. This is Front Funder. So this is the one I was thinking of for crowdfunded equity investments. So it's an interesting one to think about. If yours is the type of business that has some kind of social impact or is helping people out in crisis times, and the average sort of high street investor or person who's sitting at home for causes to support, get behind you if you launch a Front Funder campaign, and you might get funded that way. So an interesting thought there. Some of these other ones I've listed here. So I know Dheeraj from Get Fresh Ventures has offered some free consulting sessions for people. So try and reach out to Get Fresh if you're in his kind of space. Yaletown Partners is obviously an established fund here. Real Ventures, Techstars, they're sort of out east. So is Omers. Omers is really big though. They're guaranteed to have lots of money, and they're probably looking for places to put it at this point. Let's see, Valhalla Angels. I didn't put Vantech on here, but they're also.
And Angel Forum Vancouver.
Fundraiser, Angel Forum Vancouver. Thank you, Colin. And Christine from Front Funder is on the line. Excellent. When we get to the Q&A portion here, I'll add you, Christine. You can introduce Front Funder better than I was able to. Thanks for joining. Okay, other financings. You want to take this one,
sure.
Helina?
So just a couple of, there's a number of other areas where you might be able to get financing that you might not think about. Here's a couple of them. And the resource we shared at the start of this presentation from Valerie Song, I believe was her name, has a whole long list of other options. So I highly urge you to go there. I just threw a couple of the cool ones that I spotted there that might be relevant to this crowd. So Natural Products Canada has $100,000 funds available for companies that do demonstrate commercial potential of natural products and technologies. Next Generation Manufacturing Canada is stepping up to help out companies that are need some support with supply chain of equipment, products, and therapeutics, especially ones that would help the COVID crisis right now. Buy and sell gc.ca. Obviously, the Canadian government is in good need of some COVID crisis supplies and materials, so you can apply directly on that website to say, hey, we offer this. I believe there was a couple of very quick RFPs that were sent out by the government as well, and they had like over 3,000 applications. And so there's a lot of, the government is really in a procurement crazy mode right now. I have so much trouble with that word, but lots of opportunity there. Facebook is also offering 5K of cash grants. 30,000 of them will be available. Again, no details quite there yet. And the Regional Development Agency for Tourism Operators. So if they're in an industry that offers tourism, contact your local office. Some funding options that they're making available. Also too, on the expense management side, a number of our clients come back to a couple of their software subscription companies to see if there's any kind of breaks that they can get, and have been getting pretty good traction there. So you might look at some of your, aside from Facebook offering grants and some other companies like that, I think Hootsuite might be offering some grants right now too. But there are, you can go back to your software subscription companies and see if they can give you breaks in any way, shape, or form. They've been pretty open with some of our clients who've reached out to them. So lots of options there. Okay. I love this slide.
Yeah, this is echoing Keith Ippel's comment from last time round, which is really just to get help. So Keith is with Spring Activator. He was kind enough to join us last time round, and cash forecasting, business planning, pivoting, all this stuff is hard, and it's really hard to do fast. We're professionals in this respect, and even when we do this work, we don't do it alone. We always have somebody else on our team give it a second set of eyes and talk through things. So don't do it alone. Ask for help. We're happy to help, of course, but if there's other people in your network that you can reach out to for help, then please do it. It's not a time to struggle through this stuff alone. Okay, now we're into the Q&A section. I will leave our contact details up on the slide. And Aislinn, if you can hear us, can you make sure that everyone is now unmuted and able to talk? If you feel like adding questions to the panel, the Q&A, please feel free to type them in. I think there's a reasonable number of people on the line, so we can just jump in with questions. If you're not talking, you have the ability to mute yourself, so feel free to do that. And if you don't have a question, feel free to just listen in, or maybe this is while I'm rambling on here, maybe a time to start thinking of some questions that you might have. While people are thinking of their questions, I think it's a great opportunity for Christine.
And AJ as well from Futurepreneur.
Great, yeah, AJ's here too from Futurepreneur. So maybe I can give you guys the floor. We'll go alphabetical order. AJ, do you want to jump in a little bit and talk about Futurepreneur and what you guys are up to? Okay.
Hey guys, hi. Hey, thanks for giving me this opportunity to speak. This is amazing. So thank you so much for sharing a lot of knowledge around your financing areas. It's definitely helpful. Futurepreneur, we still do the same service for business loan up to $60,000, but interest rate has been decreased, obviously. So right now, if you do $20,000 loan, it's going to be around 6.5%. And this is up to date this morning, actually. We got it from HQ this morning. And if you do exceed $20,000 and up to $60,000, interest rate will be 9.55%. So that's our current interest update. And it may be not applicable for any of you who's applying now, but anyway, what we are doing is we are freezing all the loan payment for a month until the end of April for our current clients. So just deferring everything.
Okay.
And also, yeah, but the rest of information is applicable for our current clients. So I'm not gonna speak everything about to our audiences here. All right.
Good stuff. Thank you. And thank you for clearing Iain's description as well.
Oh, I muddled it. I saw an F and then I mixed the two things up.
And then Christine, did you want to share a little bit more about what Front Funder does and how it works?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks so much for the opportunity, and echo the comments that AJ made. Really great deck and providing a really quick response to all the resources that are available out there for entrepreneurs. So yeah, Front Funder, we're an investment crowdfunding platform. So we can actually work with equity as well as debt offerings. So we do have some flexibility there if you didn't want to be doing just a straight equity crowdfunding campaign. We're also getting together some resources to offer shortly here. So we'll be doing a series of webinars over the next couple weeks. Just obviously there's lots of hesitation about, what the investing landscape now looks like on the private side of things. So we'll be kicking off those webinar series next week. And then we're also going to be announcing office hours this week to kind of talk with either myself or someone from our sales team, someone from our due diligence team, and then also on our campaign management team. So we'll be opening up those resources shortly here.
Awesome. And for both you, AJ and Christine, if you wouldn't mind sending us over any key links, we can add that to our website for the quarantine chats as resources for people to follow up afterwards.
Will do. Thanks so much.
Yep, definitely copy that.
And then Colin, have you got anything? I see you waiting.
Yeah, both to AJ and Christine. I've said this on previous quarantine chats that we've had with Startup Vancouver right now, just with kind of the lean team that I have, which is AKA me, that we won't be producing any content at the moment, perhaps in the next upcoming weeks as things go on. But it's a great opportunity, just like we're doing here with you, to support and promote and even start to co-present, just like we did 3 years ago when we were just starting with Startup Vancouver with live events. So both for fundraiser, also for Futurepreneur, if you want to send me any social sharing package, happy to promote those through our 4 social media channels, just like we do with Entreflow here, with the great things that you're doing. And if you want to start to co-present some events as we roll along here too, that's something I'm definitely open to, because like I said, for now, just to kind of respect the resources that I have and the limited time, that producing our own content right now doesn't make a lot of sense, because there's lots of great people like yourselves that are doing great things in thought leadership, and we're here to promote and amplify your signal as we collaborate. All right.
Well, I want to just ask the collective group here about their experience with any of these programs. Has anyone reached out to their rep at BDC, for instance, or has anyone reached out to their banker? And would you be willing to share what you're hearing back, if it's not obviously confidential to your own company? Has anyone reached out to their banker?
Okay, still early stages.
Nope, nobody yet.
Yeah, I could say that when I put on my entrepreneurial hat, the new thing we're bringing to market, we are focusing even more on bootstrapping, and your other point to customers and revenue. What a thing. That is king, of course. And one of the things I did want to mention and kind of put out there to others, experiencing this personally and getting this question quite a bit from startups and entrepreneurs during these interesting times, how do you position that message to new clients, existing clients, without coming across and being desperate or being inappropriate during these times? Because they're all struggling too, as far as cutting their marketing budgets, cutting even their spend, even though times like this is, the best time to actually ramp up your marketing is during times like this, not unlike what you're doing with Entreflow here through these great events. But so many organizations and companies think it's intuitive to actually slash in the wrong places. So I find that, I guess my question to people here too, that I'm struggling with too, is how do you craft that message so that you're not being insensitive, also the fact that they're going through turbulent times also, and you're not coming across as being overly needy, or as we say, reeking of desperation during these difficult times.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Had a couple of comments come in here.
Oh yeah, sure. I'll read those in just a bit, but just to build on what Colin was saying, is anyone attempting a pivot or thinking about offering a different kind of package or going to a different kind of market weather-related kind of service. Is anyone thinking about that? While you think about that, then I'll read out the other responses. So some people have reached out to their banks. Looks like someone reached out to Van City, and Van City is able to give a line of credit at this time, but not able to move on the government loan. I guess that's the 40 CERB, because they'll know later this week about how they want that to be administered. So it's about so
many acronyms.
So many 4-letter acronyms this time. So and it looks like oh, Stacy, you're unmuted. Do you want to share your experience with CIBC?
Well, it was all, can you hear me? Yes?
Yeah.
Good. It was all online when I worked for one of my clients, and they just said there were details to follow. We'll keep you posted. We don't have the information, but here's a link, and please make sure that you have your email with us so that we can keep you updated as much as possible as we get more details. And that was for the 40K. Yeah, that's all I got. When I went to Toronto Dominion, and I searched a lot all over, and it was limited with them as to what I could get for information. I think I went around in circles for, well, it felt like forever, but yeah, there was not much on TD at all. And I've got a lot of clients that deal with TD. So I'm not sure what's going to happen there. I'm sure it'll come through. Just be patient.
I think this is catching a lot of banks off guard, and just the information change and update really quickly. And I know for I read yesterday the hospital, or I'm not sure who's in charge of this, is basically they have regulations about the type of applications and communication tools that hospital workers can use, and they've had to pass through a really quick change to that so that the hospital workers can communicate a little bit more effectively using Slack and other means. And I'm sure there's probably, bureaucratic shape like that within the banking sector as well, where, everything that goes on the website has to go through 7 levels of approval or something like that too. So there's probably a little bit of slowdown in the communication front just from the rules in place.
Sure. As we keep hearing, we're in uncharted territory, and it's all new for all of us. So yeah, here we are.
Let's hope we don't hit an iceberg. So on some positive news, Janos shared here, he's doing some pivoting as well.
Okay, so Janos, I'll just read this out. If you want to jump in with more detail, then feel free to unmute.
Okay. Well, basically, AI company startup doing image recognition-based physical infrastructure for transmission lines, pipelines, road, railways, etc. And then we have the very robust engine. We can use the same thing for image recognition in the medical area. For example, we heard that the coronavirus has a special kind of pattern in the X-rays. Also, there is a lot of visual work happening in the lab, and that could be automated too. So we reached out, but we don't know where to go further. If anybody has some contacts, please let us know.
For sure. I think a couple of the links that we posted earlier for companies that are doing providing services and innovation for areas affected with COVID would be helpful for you. So I can forward you over the link of a couple of the resources, Janos, but I think probably just reach out directly to them. There might be some opportunity. I know there's some scientific innovation grants as well right now to help with anything kind of related to COVID. So I have a couple of resources that might be a good place to reach out at this point. Does anybody know of any other places right now too? Okay, well, if you think of anything, share it.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, I think we're coming up just about to the hour here. Does anybody have any burning questions they want to ask? And thanks, Stacey. Thanks for popping on today. Nice to hear your voice. Okay, cool.
No
Any last minute burning questions?
No, it sounds like no, and that's okay. Feel free to reach out after the call if you have any questions. If you are an Entreflow client, you can reach out directly to your accountant or consultant. And we're trying to keep everyone in the loop so that we all have the latest answers. So feel free to do that. I think the overall takeaway from all this is, just be in action and expect that it'll take some time for all these programs to roll out and actually fund through things. But certainly being active in your own planning and your own outreach to the right institutions, access to funding is a good idea. Whether or not it turns out you actually need the credit. So there's a lot of uncertainty of, do I need this credit or am I going to take it? You don't know yet, but waiting is not a good thing to do. So be proactive, try and get access to the credit because it's going to be harder and harder to get as time goes on.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Colin, do you have any last thoughts there?
Just agree with everything that you're saying. Try to be proactive as possible. That really is key, which is hard. I know there's so much information out there and it's changing on an hourly basis. It is overwhelming. But yeah, just reach out to people, support each other, ask for help. Like you said with that one slide, I know with myself, I do that more than ever the last couple of years, whereas before I didn't, just try to solve all my problems myself, and sometimes it was too late. So continue to do that. Realize we're all in this together. We'll figure out what this new world will be as we go, and let's just continue with the ritual of doing these type of things. As we talked about in entrepreneurship and business, it's not sexy and glamorous, but consistency and resiliency is really the key. And when some of us slip down, we're here to pick each other up. And that's the key. We're all in this together, and we're a community, and we're strong, and we're better together.
Indeed.
Super good. Thanks, guys.
All
so
right.
For everyone on the call, if you could do us a favor and share that we're doing this with the people in your network. You'll find our updates coming through on LinkedIn, Facebook, all the social medias. Many of you would have received an email from us as well, which we're trying to do with a summary of each session as well, and an invitation to the next one. So if you get those, please pass them on. Please share the social media links. This is for everyone's benefit, so we're happy to help. And also, if you have questions or things that you want to discuss for the next time, then please let us know, and then we'll make sure that we include that in the next agenda. Lots of questions, lots of uncertainty, and we're doing our best to find the answers for you and figure out how to proceed.
Yeah. Thanks so much, you guys.
Thank you, guys. And just a reminder, on Thursday, we'll be doing another quarantine chat, same bat time, same bat place. And the focus will be on HR related issues.
Okay.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a lovely day.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.